Okay, hello again. Hey, hello everybody. Hey, I'm Wellman Noe, a Business Central consultant. Thank you for your patience. Uh, we're going to begin now the webinar. Today, I'm gonna present the topic that is called Sales Order Promising in Business Central. Also, it works in NAV. And thank you for coming once again. Another great webinar we're going to have, another topic that, for you to learn and review functionality. So this is a very fast session focused on the delivery and to calculate the dates for your customers, right? And we're going to have more or less a 1 hour session. And whenever you need to ask something, let me know. The topic is easy. We're going to start from setting up some basic configurations that we need to do. So, and let me just then, before anything, after thanking you for coming, we're gonna, we need to understand some concepts, right? Sales order promising, it has some key concepts we need to understand in order to promise our customer when they're gonna receive their merchandise. Okay, so if you want to calculate item delivery dates, this is exactly the webinar we are gonna we focus on sales order promising, and we're gonna explain fields, sales orders, and the relationship between all that we're gonna do, from the setups to the actual review of the delivery date when a salesperson is actually preparing a document. So basically, when a company wants to give customers accurate delivery information for sales orders, in this case, we need to estimate correctly, even sometimes from the receipt of the purchase or transfer orders in a Dynamics Business Central, the functionality, and all of this is known as order promising. So based on known and expected availability dates for an item, we can quickly calculate the shipment and then the delivery date. This date can be promised to the customer, or if the customer requests a specific delivery date, well, Business Central can assess whether the delivery date is realistic, or we need to actually give some feedback to our customers. So let's review some two key concepts. As mentioned previously, company needs to be able to inform the customers about a delivery. So we have two things we need to do whenever we prepare a sales order. And the first concept is we have a function that is called available to promise, which is when you have some inventory, but a Business Central anyway is going to tell you, because you need to prepare in the warehouse your item, or sometimes it's in another store, you need to transfer to the warehouse maybe, and then later to another location, or anything that is involved in the specific item request. This could be also attached to the actual item. And then if in any case you don't even have an item, we have a second function that we are going to call capable to promise. So we are talking about, and we're going to show two things. When you are available to promise an item, or if you don't have an item, the second concept we're going to review is when you're capable to promise. So two things that are completely different, but are focused on the specific calculation for a delivery. So when I have an item, it's because I'm going to be available to promise, or if I don't, I need to review a function that is called capable to promise. So for capable to promise, we are going to be assuming a what if scenario where the item is not in inventory, and then later of course, not even you don't have orders that are scheduled to be received. So based on this very bad scenario, Business Central calculates the earliest date that the item can be available, and or maybe if it's going to be produced. Well, this is also connected with manufacturing when it applies, or assembly. Okay, so we need at the end to calculate the delivery date or a planning date when it comes to manufacturing or assembling. And when you don't have something, we are going to use a functionality that is called reservations. That is a bonus that I want to give you to explain you what is a reserve, so you can, in concept, what we're going to do is, if I don't have something, I need to prepare a reservation, so when it arrives, or even I can send to a request to replenishment, so I can receive, and then that item only will be reserved for my customer because he has been waiting on a queue or for his items or her items. So I need to promise, and I promise that I'm going to deliver something. That's why we are gonna use this function that is called capable to promise, which is going to do a reservation. Okay, let's begin then with the topic in Business Central, and we're going to be preparing some basic setups that you need to do. Of course, we have some times related to and buckets we are going to review. But first of all, the main criteria. You can set up your company calendar. Let me see. Your company calendar will be working for, especially with the warehouse, because the idea for any timing calculation is that you, of course, have you, of course, have specific dates where your company will be working. This is in the company information. For those of you who have, please make notes. For those of you who have a Business Central or a Navision, please take a look at your base calendar code. What it does is that you are going to specify which days are working dates and which dates will be then as well weekends or holidays, etc. So you can specify, for instance, I would like to say that I don't work on Sundays for my warehouse or my company. Okay, that's not common as well. Of course, warehouses would need to check if they are not working on Sundays. Well, that's something that you really need to specify in your calendar as not working dates, and you can add a description. For instance, let me go to December. Okay, in December, of course, I need to specify that is Christmas. Then I might have holidays for the 25th of December. And the same happened with a New Year. So I have New Year. So you need to specify which days in your company you are not going to base calendar. You are not going to consider some specific dates as a non-working, like I'm doing here, and you can add in some cases some descriptions, right? So for Sunday is a default non-working day, and so on. And then if necessary, I will need to add some other descriptions when they apply. Okay, this is important because your calculations will avoid these specific dates. They are as not considered to be in our calculations. As well, you could create more than one calendar. For instance, I have a service calendar, and you can continue creating different calendars for different activities, and you can create, well, the idea is that you need to create at least one base calendar and one base calendar for your warehouses or your warehousing activity that sometimes could be quite different from other type of calendars. Okay, so what we are going to do with this, I'm going to just in the company information set up then my base calendar or the calendar that I require for the company, and this will be then reviewed. Okay, then we are going to review some definitions and calculations for available and capable to promise. Okay, specifically where we open a sales order, where we need to check what we're going to do. Okay, but first, because this could be quite, for the first time, confusing for I don't know what Business Central does or what's behind all of this. Let me show just some information in a diagram that we have for date calculations. What we're gonna have to do today in order to actually review the information is the following. Whenever I want to understand what Business Central is doing at Navision is whenever I need to promise something to my customers, the first thing to consider is that I have a specific workflow. When I receive my items in my main warehouse, maybe, and then I need to understand how long I need to prepare an item, maybe 1 day, and then, or 2 days sometimes, if the warehouse is a WMS where I have to distribute a big network. And then I have the planned shipment date where I say, okay, after the time I require to prepare an item, then I'm gonna load the truck that I use, and then that will be the planned shipment date. So the original shipment date plus the outbound warehouse handling time is a planned shipment date. Then, well, it depends. I have some shipping time. In the shipping time, I would say that maybe I will require FedEx, an outsourced logistic maybe, or if it's going to be my own logistics, I'm going to as well specify that time. I'm going to show you these setups specifically today, and then we are going to see the result. But take this idea. I need some shipping time to send from my warehouse and specify the number of days from my warehouse to deliver, and when the customer is going to be receiving, then I have a planned delivery date. So if I take this backwards, I need to, or the people who is going to be selling, they sometimes need they will be having these dates automatically. They won't see the outbound warehouse handling time. They don't know about it. They don't care about the specific configurations, but in the sales order, they will be reviewing the planned delivery date, which is very important, okay? And Business Central is gonna take care of all of this basic workflow. And as well, sometimes your customer asks you for a specific date, and you need to promise at sometimes when you're going to be delivering something. So well, that's why we sometimes need to start setting up this and with the time, especially for those of you who are beginning with Business Central, you are going to start with the basic setups of this, so you can start actually working with the promising functionality, so you can be sure when you're going to be delivering. Okay, so once again, I'm going to have let's go backwards. A planned delivery date. The planned delivery date will be when is my customer going to be receiving on premises their merchandise. All right. Then I'm going to specify that before I can calculate this, I need to know the time from my warehouse to the customer facilities, how many days it takes to be a merchandise to be delivered. That is called shipping time. Now, if I go backwards, I plan a shipment date based on the specific original shipment date that I will be having. I'm going to show you that, and the outbound warehouse handling time. This is considering that I have an item and that I have availability. Okay, so let's consider something. A sales order is placed. In order to understand when I'm going to be delivering, the first condition is that I have a availability of my item. The time that it takes for me to package or pick and pack the item, load the truck, and then the number of days for me to arrive to the customer facilities. All this time is what we're going to be considering for my calculations in a nutshell. Apart from that, we are going to be, we need to understand another concept now. Let's do it in our sales order. Let's open a sales order. But in any case, what I need to also do is that I need to specify, if you understood this, the specific outbound warehouse handling time, because in all your locations, you're going to be having different capacities for picking and packing, okay? Especially for those of you who are working in a big network, I would say that for my main warehouse, because this is the one that is going to be more used. In any case, I have two specific dates that I need to configure that will be a formula. First of all, if you open your location cards, please go to the warehouse tab. And in this case, is the main warehouse. The main warehouse card or location card in this case is going to be handling the main information that is going to be used for print out reports for my warehouse or deliveries or receipt documents maybe. And then a contact, you have a phone number, an email, very important. Well, in this case, just in any case, this warehouse needs an email. Please add it. It's going to be really good because remember that we have some information that can be sent through email. Very good. So here, at least this location now have an email, the general information. And here we're going to be checking some setups related to some specific documents required. If you need to print, if you need to some other setups other than the basic black box. But today we're going to use the basic warehouse, which is just a black box, not really focusing on the internal advanced warehousing functionalities. For today, we're going to just focusing on these two setups. The outbound warehouse handling time. Okay, how does it take for your warehouse to pick and pack, prepare specific items? In my main warehouse, we need 1 day. So if I receive a sales order or the warehouse clerk receives a sales order, shipping order as well, well, they are going to review that as instruction. And if I receive it today, and specifically, it doesn't matter if I receive it in the morning or late in the day, but tomorrow I will be able to deliver the item and put it in the shipping area. And as well, the inbound warehouse handling time. For this, I'm going to require 2 days. And this is because when I receive an item, I do not immediately send it to the actual shipping area. This will be a drop shipping functionality. But I need to specify a standard time. How long does it take for me to review the quality? How long does it take to maybe unload my truck or the trailer and then start organizing everything and put it in the stock area? Okay, so it can be then later available to be picked. So it takes me even more sometimes because the items are not organized, simple as. And then later, the outbound warehouse handling time should be, as a best practice, less than the inbound warehouse handling time. If that doesn't happen, it means that you need to organize at least the stocking area to put some items in a way where this can happen. Is often required to be attending faster my customers than me receiving a specific big load of inventory. So we can be sure of that. At least let's add 1 day to prepare an item, etc. Unless you have WMS, well, we have other considerations, okay? But shipping time as well, we need to start, we need to review that because, okay, after I understand that my warehouse requires some dates to prepare my items, and please add it, review with your managers. You might, if you are an administrator, might be thinking, okay, what's the critical importance of these dates? Believe me, it's very, very important to add this basic, and the setup is very, very basic. But I just wanted to point out that this is very important for your calculation. Now, it may be not always the same, but anyway, we would need to at least standardize something for our calculations. Per customer, we also need to ask and review how much and how many days, at least how many days, we would need to, what will be the shipping time? Let me see, let me open the customers. Good. On the customer card, I have the shipping time to add how many days does it take for me to deliver something from my warehouse to the actual customer facilities, okay? Let me review. For this, it's very important that you at least have a default process of delivery, okay? So first of all, in the shipping, in the customer card, once again, showing the customer card, I'm going to have the general information, in this case for a Dayton corporation. You can see here then some general information about the address and picture. Once you have all this basic information, you would need to come into, at least for the topic for today, you can then add a specific ship to code that will be a default. Of course, you could have many addresses for your customer, and that's ideal. But all the addresses will be having the following information. In this case, I have two, loose road and park road. Okay, I'm just going to pick the first one. And then if you require some routes, well, you could specify from where you will be normally or by default as a suggestion for later, for sales orders later, from where you're going to be preparing or sending your inventory from a specific location. In this case, from Main to Lowe's Road, I will be always sending to Lowe's Road. I will be always sending stock from the main warehouse. Very basic, very easy, but here as well the time. Okay, for me, I'm going to specify a code. You could add a specific code for your only. I strongly recommend to control your inventory to add some shipment method code. We always encourage our customers to do the following. You might have different types of delivery talking about specific characteristics. When we are specifying, we need to specify specific standard delivery codes. This catalog is actually standard, like cost and freight, cost, insurance and freight. At least add some codes because this could be helpful later to then understand what you are going to then, how you're going to classify your deliveries. This is even Business Central is not a specific logistic ERP, but at least I strongly recommend, for instance, to add a delivery code where you might need to add a custom freight and cost, insurance and freight, some basics. So when you create a sales order, then you can remember for a specific customer, if you need to charge, if you need to place some insurance. So it's a good idea to always add a shipment method and classify it with which type of expenses it might have. Then later, for this customer, I always deliver with FedEx, which is an external parameter. And with Business Central, this is very important. We can connect your specific outsourced logistics. So Business Central can, with the package number that you have, Business Central can show you directly from the Federal Express webpage, take the information and add it in your sales order. That's why I'm explaining this type of configurations. Nevertheless, let's keep it simple for now because we're focusing on the days, not on additional configurations. I'm just telling you that it's possible, and if you have later questions, and just please let me know. But I have just given you the idea: DHL, FedEx, own logistics, or UPS. Okay, so let's add FedEx, and then later we need to specify how is going to be your delivery in your company. Is going to be standard or the next day delivery. So for me, the next day delivery is urgent, okay? So you can then modify your sales order because it's going to be available for you to use in your own catalogs. So the default will be standard. It's 2 days with FedEx, and the shipping time is here. This is the only important thing that I just wanted to show, the shipping time. Okay, how many days it takes from my warehouse, because this is important for my calculations to deliver an item to the customer facilities. So at the end, all of this I have mentioned, the most important thing is just this specific field. The shipping time is just 2 days, because this is what we're going to be using for our calculations. Okay, let me show you then, coming back to the diagram, show you a specific definition of the calculation, okay? So we need to learn what we're going to be showing in our, from these basic setups, what Business Central is going to be doing, okay? So you can implement it and explain it or maybe make some tests. It's very, very easy actually. So I'm going to have a shipment date that will be in my sales order, but then later this is going to take plus the outbound warehouse handling time that we specified that will be 1 day, okay, normally, okay? Then this is going to be what we call the planned shipment date. This is the date I'm going to plan to have my my truck loaded. So this is going to be presented in the sales order, okay? Because at the end, also maybe you have a takeout time. Sometimes your customer will tell you, I'm gonna go to your warehouse to pick the item. It's a possibility. But for now, let's stick to the normal process. Once again, the planned shipment day is calculated. I need to add the shipment date. How many days it takes from my warehouse to the facilities, how long it takes an item to be delivered on time. Well, this is the planned delivery date. As well, I mentioned you about the calendars. Well, you're going to have your base calendar or customized calendars. For me, every customer as well could use a different calendar. Let's take a look at this. Okay, why is that, Noe? Why does it has got to be on the customer level? Maybe it would be better in the location which is available as well. Which would have more priority? Well, actually the customer. The customer might have some specific days where they do not work, and then maybe, well, you need to create a calendar even for your customer. That's not that common, to be honest, and maybe that will be too picky and will be unmanageable. But if it's required, especially if you're on the logistics, or maybe you have a delivery team, you have your own trucks as well. So your company somehow is having a big delivery team that could be called logistics. Well, why not to consider to have all the setups in place? Okay, so just the base calendar as a suggestion on the customer level, but it's just there if needed. And then let's just review now the functionality, okay? For me, I'm going to be the order processor. I'm going to just, after my basic definition and the diagrams I'm explaining, I'm going to create a sales order. Very, very easy to understand now that you understand the basics, because we have a lot of data that could be quite confusing for the first time. What I'm going to do is just create a new sales order, a new document where I'm going to be specifying my specific sales operation, and I'm going to include the same data incorporation that I have previously configured. Now it's telling me that I have an overdue balance, but it's just a warrant. So for me, it's not a problem for now. Now, what I'm going to do every time I create a sales order, after I include the item, the customer, I'm going to include now the item. So if I'm going to, I'm in the home appliances business for this demo. So I'm going to add a Whirlpool dishwasher. So let's review that immediately. The main location code was suggested, like we mentioned before, and some characteristics of these dates that we configured before will be immediately brought by the system. So now I'm going to request, I don't know, 10 items. 10 dishwasher. This customer wants this, but oh my god, I don't have inventory. Okay, let's review what happened here, because I don't know. What should I do now? Okay, first of all, what Business Central is doing here is it's going to be starting. Let's review at some dates. I have a posting date. I don't want to confuse you with the dates. There we have a lot of fields when it comes to dates. But let's just remember the most important fields for now. It's very important to understand that I have a posting date. This is for accounting. So for me, it's not a problem. For now, I have a document date for informational purposes. Every document has a specific date when it was created, okay? So let's leave these specific ones for now. Let's focus on the important dates for the actual inventory delivery. Okay, whenever you create a sales order, the first thing you need to do is ask your customer when he requires something, or otherwise you only need to come to the specific shipment date. Let's compare now with the diagram I explained before. These specific dates that you have. So keep note on this. This is very important. I'm going to show with the diagram this specific information that we have in every sales line. I have the shipping date. So the shipping date by default will be today, the working date. And this is here, the initial calculation for my workflow for the delivery. Then I have the planned shipment date. So considering this, the shipment date plus the planned shipment date, okay, plus the outbound warehouse handling time will be giving me the planned shipment date. So 3 days after the actual shipment day, which is today, after 3 days, I can consider, according to the calculations for this specific requirement, that in 3 days, tomorrow, I'm going to be able to send this item. And well, the planned delivery date is not even calculated here, is the same, and that will be the actual date when my specific customer will be receiving the item. The planned delivery date will be is not considering currently the shipping time. Look at this, these are the same because I don't even have the item. But if I have the item, what Business Central should be doing is adding the shipping time, so I could actually just consider this information. Okay, at the end, if I don't even have the item, also I need to review. Let's see, I'm requesting 10, but the item availability is currently -10, meaning that I don't even have this item in my warehouse or in other warehouse, okay? So this is the first thing I wanted to present. This is a very common issue. So what do we do now? Okay, the item availability here is that, well, let's review the calendar. I have a sales order for 10, but schedule receipt, this is very bad. I don't have schedule receipt. I cannot even have a conversation with my customer at this point, if you understand what I'm saying. I also could review forecasts. Well, I'm going to review some forecasts, but well, I don't have any information. I cannot do anything for now, okay? So by clicking on the, very important for you who are reviewing this, is because from this you might have not only one single sales order or this type of very basic information, but you might have dozens of sales orders, all right? And you might have a logistic pre-work to review. Maybe you need to prepare a route. That route will be for the north, considering areas, considering the load capacity of the truck. So behind or after this, you will be having a very complex work to do, okay? But if you don't have at least the item availability procedure to understand what can you do with your availability, then the other logistic work is completely useless. That's why I always encourage to just start with these basic setups when you are learning Business Central and NAV. Okay, so after this basic explanation, let's not go to complicated things yet. Okay, it's just a very common issue that I just simply do not have my item. What should I do? Okay, first of all, the second step to do is review substitutions, okay? If you don't have an item, we have functionality not to be covered today, but the substitution is a very basic setup where you could say that if you don't have an item, well, maybe you could have another item that could be more or less, or it's similar to the item you are selling, in this case, a dishwasher, but you could add it so you could immediately bring the information, okay? And in this case, it's 0, meaning that I don't have substitution. Just to mention it, we have also that functionality, okay? Very well. Okay, but if I don't even have the item, this is a scenario where I would need to try to provide some information, okay? I don't even have the item yet. What could I do? Well, use the function that I just wanted to show you today, okay? Because I would need to, at the end, try to purchase my item and give my just give my customer specific information. Okay, let's make some notes. In the same sales order, I'm going to use a function that is called order promising. This is in the Actions tab, or in Business Central, in Navision. Actually, this function is in the top of your sales order. If I'm not mistaken, a long time ago, I reviewed this menu. Hopefully, I'm not forgetting it. But you can anyway navigate into your Ribbon in NAV to review. If it's not Actions, it will be, I believe, in the process area. But navigate, I don't exactly remember that, sorry, I don't remember all the menus, but look at the planning option, and we are going to, we need just to select the one function that is called order promising. As well, we have the demand overview. That, when I'm speaking about the logistics and the preparation of a route, with, of course, you need to optimize a truckload to then prepare a delivery. Okay, but beginning the first, before going to the delivery procedure, you need to always check item availability as a rule. Don't forget it. Now, even before planning, because we also have planning functions, what we're going to do is, that's why this is in the first place, order promising. I'm going to just click on this one, and I'm going to use the following functions. For now, the requested shipment day actually was today, and then the original. It happens to be that I don't have even availability, okay? That was my issue. So in order to do so, I'm going to use the function that is called capable to promise. By clicking on this function, I'm going to use the order promising lines with the setups that we are using. And for me, well, this is actually this is telling me that, first of all, the shipment date is calculated. All of these calculations were actually already done, okay? But if I don't have the item, the second function that I need to review is the same that I wanted to explain, order promising. Okay, the first function that Business Central is doing for you, but automatically is available to promise. Available to promise is, once again, just review whether you have your item or not. If that's not the case, let's use the function capable to promise. Now this is going to review some other calculations. For now, I'm just going to accept the dates, and I'm going to show you directly in the sales order. What happened here is that if I don't have the item, this is telling me to suggest, okay, the planned delivery date, in other words, when my customer can have the items on their warehouse or store or premises, will be the actual, actually more or less in 1 week, the 8th of August, okay? This is calculated by Business Central. What it did, of course, it calculated all the dates that I requested, but it's more important that currently it also is going to review the vendor or the lead time from the vendor and the inbound time in my warehouse. This is another setup that I also have. Okay, so if you consider this information, what it happened here as well is that immediately in my sales order, I have a reserved quantity. If you can see here, after I run that function, Business Central came to make a reservation. This is by default, you can use it. Let's take a look. What is a reservation? A reservation is a draft procedure to lock whenever I have availability of an item, to link immediately when I receive something, immediately create a link to transfer, or immediately communicate the warehouse clerk that I need to fulfill an order, okay? So if you can see here, I have the sales order, I have a requisition line already. Also, this is to be run by replenishment, okay? So if you are planning to run replenishment, at least take this information. This is going to make reservations that we will normally fulfill manually whenever we are starting. So for this, if I create a purchase order, this will be immediately linked to the sales order. Or as well, if I'm working with replenish, a very advanced function, by the way, well, you would need to actually send this a line. This is what Business Central is doing. Send it to the requisition worksheet. Just as an informational, as well, you know that I'm linking. The purpose of the webinar is always learning, not only make a simple procedure. For that, you can have manuals. We can have dozens of manuals. But how do we connect all the dots? Okay. So just for you to know, we have a replenishing process where what we call the requisition worksheet. If I remember, I at some point run it. Yes. Okay. And here I have my say item. This is in the requisition worksheet. Is a page where I'm going to be able to automate the requisition process to create purchase. But if you take a look at this, I have the change quantity option in the action message process line, a column, and then also cancel. So the replenishing process is creating for me the purchase orders, but if for any reason my users are also creating or creating purchase orders by themselves because they want their own items in their offices or in their stores, they can do so. And here in the actual centralized window, well, we could then understand that this could cancel or change quantities or reschedule your purchase orders. Okay, this is very, very common, and this is also part of the training for a delivery, because at the end you need to actually tell your customer what's going on, and you need to understand that at least if you don't have availability of an item, well, you at some point need to purchase it. And well, this is going to be handled by your purchasing team, either in a manual way by creating a simple purchase order, or either by the automated way, which is the replenishing process, where for now, for my Whirlpool dishwasher, well, for me is creating a new purchase order to fulfill my order for, well, I have two orders for 10 and for 5 pieces, okay? Very easy, very good, so I love it. And this is actually sent it to the actual vendor, okay? I will open the replenishing side, the automated procedure. It doesn't have to necessarily done by replenishing, okay? I just wanted to show this page because from here we can see who is going to be supplying my dishwasher. And from here, let me just open the vendor card that is called, oh, no, sorry. Is it vendor number 4000? So for me, whenever I open the vendors, let me show you the last setup you need to do if you want to start working with this. If I don't have the item, I'll strongly recommend that would be very important to consider. Okay, I need to tie a vendor to my specific item sometimes. Okay, if I'm ordering something. Now, for me, it's very, very important before doing anything, learn one single concept, what is called the lead time calculation. Every vendor, like we did before with our warehouses, we did before with our customer with what we call the shipping time. The last date we need to learn is in the vendor card, we need to specify the lead time calculation time. And as well, we have some other procedures like the shipment method code. Let's say that is going to be a delivery. So every time I purchase from this vendor, I'm going to be receiving in the main warehouse, and as well the base calendar, the same concepts, okay? But once again, I could fulfill all of this, but the most important will be the lead time calculation that for this vendor will be 1 day. So he's supplying my item. So at some point, well, I can automate the process that if you review previously from the actual sales order with just one button to run the capable to promise function, immediately it sent a reservation to prepare in the replenishing process, okay? And from the replenishing process, it immediately is creating a vendor a purchase order for this vendor automatically. So I recommend, even before going to the replenishing process, going and start setting up all of this, okay? Otherwise, your replenishing will be good anyway, can work very well, but with lack of these aids, it's somehow inaccurate, okay? So start adding these basic concepts. And at last but not least, well, if you really want to be really precise, every item, at least let's just review the Whirlpool dishwasher. Another concept for your items will be in the replenishing process, in the in the item card. I have the Whirlpool dishwasher, okay? You need to upload your items in your production, or I have webinars to design items. This is an inventory item, which means that it's going to be stock item, but as well we have services and non-inventory. Later, well, for now, I have different characteristics. I have a picture, and I have the color, the model, the brand is Whirlpool, everything on it. After the basic information, cost, price, etc., for now, it's very important to add how you are supplying this item, okay? Okay, this will be by purchase, by transfer, or by assembly if you are assembling your items, okay, in the replenishing fast tab. I know we have a lot of setups, okay, I know it, but only at least the dates. Remember the dates, lead time calculation. This will be because in the supplying side, we would normally set a standard time for my vendors. So because if we are importing or if we have local vendors, okay, you need on the vendor item card, a vendor card, set up the time. But if you're really, really picky and you really, or if it's necessary, let's not call it picky, that's too much. But maybe on specific items that are very important, you can call your customer, hey, how long does it take to receive one specific item? Because maybe it's not the same to send the item that I always order, okay, to my vendors, that maybe another one that is just, I don't know. For those of you who manage those items that are what we call runners, or in other words, they are cheap and you sell them a lot. Okay, I strongly recommend to add the lead time calculation, okay? And well, for those items that you barely sell them, well, it's not that necessary. At least on the vendor level could be good, okay? And the most important thing is that this is just suggestions, okay? Tell to your customer that you are having functionality to have calculations, but anyway, they are just like approximately the date where you can deliver based on this, okay? But at the end, of course, you need to call your vendors. I need an urgent request, and etc. Okay, okay. So once I have done this, I'm gonna just go back to my actual procedure because I wanted to show some things. Okay, why not to make a purchase? Why not to make a purchase? I'm going to add my item. I'm going to add the purchase order. I'm going to do it manually for now. I'm not going to use the replenishing procedure because I actually am going to present that in a webinar that I have after this. So I don't want to create the actual purchase orders, sorry, but I'm going to do it now. Anyway, it's not a problem. Okay, let's say that, okay, what I need to do is whenever I create a sales order is that I just need to include the vendor like I did. In this case is the vendor Wide World Importers, and I have the dishwasher included to be from our setups that we did. Well, it's going to be held in the actual main location or main warehouse, okay? And then you just need to add a quantity, okay? So let's see what happened when I already have the items, okay? When I don't have inventory, you saw that it's going to be immediately sent to create a reservation, and as well as going to be sent to the actual a replenishing, or could be added just manually, like it would be normally selected as normal, okay? As well, you can have reservations from the actual purchase order, and you can see here that I have a sales line, okay? This is strongly recommended once you start working with this, to tell to your purchasers, always, always, always review urgent requisitions, okay? Like I'm doing right now. Once again, the idea of the purchasing and the promising, the capable to promise, is that you are connecting dots. On one side, running the function to tell your customers if you don't have availability, when, and if you have, that's the next topic. Just to finalize the webinar, if I have the item, what can I do? Well, it's very easy. Okay, but for now, in the actual purchase order, the idea is that you are going to have the actual requisition of how many actual items you're going to have. Hey, I have 11 urgent units that I need to deliver. Very, very important. Okay, that's what I wanted to do at the end. Okay, so you could actually reserve or cancel the reservation. It's not a problem. Actually, let's do something crazy. Let's cancel our reservation even here. It's not a problem for me. Okay, but okay, you would never need to do so. Okay, I'm just showing you that it's a possibility. But if I have a reservation, it's because there is something important to fulfill for now. Okay, so okay, this is basically that I just wanted to show the actual process. So you could auto reserve and etc. So full automatic reservation is not possible. You need to reserve manually. Sorry for the actual procedure. But this for me is very important, because if you actually want to reserve something, you need to select to which actually sales order you are actually fulfilling. That's why it's not actually reserved, okay? So the total quantity for me is this 11 that I need to actually just reserve, and then for me nothing else will be necessary to do. Okay, so nothing else. I'm just reserving the lines. Is not because I was canceling before, and nothing else to do for now. Just let me just reserve the second one. Okay. What happened here is that I have, if I open the two lines that were already open, I have two sales orders, and currently I have 1 and 10 reserved quantities. So when I order, this will be directly going to these sales orders. And well, not to be shown, but in the warehouse, we are going to be following exactly these instructions. When I receive something, I'm going to have a printout with this information, okay? Just I don't have enough time to show everything. We are in the last part of our webinar, but whenever you do reservation, or in other words, link a purchase with a sales order, that's possible. Well, this is what we are doing currently. That will be shown in the warehouse activities. Also, if you manage serial or lot numbers. But for now, I'm just going to start working on my actual procedure, because let's say that immediately I just need to send this to the vendor. There's a workflow, approval workflow if necessary, and there are a lot of functionality there. For now, I'm just going to receive an invoice, an item, so I'm going to later pay the vendor. The important thing is that I need my item currently that is requested urgently. So I'm receiving it, and this order is now posted. I move to the posted purchase invoice windows because I need to pay to these vendors. But he currently is I'm receiving the items in the main warehouse. So now the main idea is that I have now availability. Okay, so you know that I have some previous sales orders with reservations, so I could just continue to tell my customer, hey, now you just have the items, no problem. But let's just, to finalize, let's make a new sales order and let's see what happened. Now that I have some availability in a new sales order, I'm just going to include the same customer because he's the one who was requesting the same item. And this is why we use this, okay? I'm going to include once again, I don't know, 4 items, okay? Okay, my item availability now has changed. I have 39, okay? That's the available inventory that I have, okay? And that's very important for me because I'm required to have 4 units now. Okay, with this immediately, Business Central is actually covering this and well, it say that if I start today, I have the item and I can tell the customer, hey, don't worry, I have the item. I don't have any warning except about availability. So from this now the logistic procedures can begin, which is another type of webinar. But the important thing is everything can begin because I have my item. Okay, so now if I need to tell the customer the earliest possible date that when you can have your item on your on premises is the planned delivery date. Once again, my shipment date is going to be today, and if I start to work on this today, I just need to consider the outbound warehouse handling time, and this will be the planned shipment date that will be tomorrow. But then later I need to consider how many days it takes from the warehouse to the actual to carry the truck and the truck traveling, or I don't know, maybe the FedEx or DHL in my procedure. How long does it take to arrive to the customer facilities? Well, this will be another 2 days, the planned delivery date. So if you learn this process, you can now tell your customer when they are going to be receiving their item on their facilities. Very good. But as well, just to finalize, because I didn't want to confuse you with all of these dates, now that you know the basic procedure, because we have availability and as well available inventory is 39. The item availability for me is that you can open this window, and in the main warehouse, very good, I have my reservations actually, but I'm having here a gross requirement. The gross requirement, just for you to know, is the requirement that is in the actual sales orders, okay? Reserve requirement, I currently don't have items reserved for this sales order, but if I open the other ones, well, I would be seeing that I have my item reserved already. It's not a problem. It's just that I'm opening a new example just to finalize, okay? But anyway, it's not a problem if I don't have current reservations for these sales orders because I know that I have availability. So I'm expecting to receive 50. They're reserved. From these 50, I already have 11 that are already reserved. That's why Business Central is telling me that I cannot touch these 11 because they are reserved for another sales order. That's why I wanted to explain this. And then later, I only have 39 items available, from where I'm going to be taking 4. At last but not least, I just want to explain 2 main concepts, because it happens that this is not enough for my customer. Even with all of this I have explained, just to finalize, all these setups, you can review, by the way, this webinar in our Optimus knowledge base. It happens to be that it's not sometimes enough for your customer, okay? What can I do? Sometimes they need to request their own dates, basically, okay? So if I just take a look at this, maybe this will be received on Sunday, which is the 2nd of August. So this item should be received by the customer, but they are telling me, hey, I don't work on Sundays, man. Let's change the date for maybe on Monday. Okay, the following date, and you can do so just to add, and it's good to have this field that is optional. It's just to be used by the salespeople normally, okay? But it's important at the end, because what I'm going to do is, if the customer by any reason wants another date, please add it, okay, in the requested delivery date, okay? Not only informational, but this is going to change the calculations. Okay, so if my customer wants for one specific date, after I understand the previous calculations, right? Because now from the requested delivery date from the customer, this is going to be calculating backwards when I need to start working on this, okay? So if I check this, well, if I need to deliver on Monday, or in this case, the 3rd of August, the item, I need to start working on this delivery actually tomorrow, okay, the 31st of August. And this is where when the warehouse is going to review in their interfaces, in the KPIs they have, hey, you have work to be completed today. So tomorrow they need to start preparing this item. And as well, you need to calculate. Sometimes your customer is going to tell you, okay, I can review that you are suggesting me something because you have that possibility. Oh, it's very good because not all my vendors provide me specific dates. So you're doing something else very good. Okay. So now you need to be sure. Sometimes your customer is going to ask you, tell me the exact day, no matter what, you need to deliver something. You can deliver something. And that's why we don't only have the requested date, but the actual promise delivery date. So you need to, by default, promising function is related to the capable to promise. That's what we call. So here, let's say that, okay, you are requesting this item, but if by any reason, I have issues with some specific delivery, I'm going to promise that no problem, that at, let's say Friday next week, you're going to be receiving this item. And this is as well going to change my calculations, okay? So the promise delivery date is the most important one. It's going to be having some priority over the other calculations that I have. So just to wrap up these 2 dates and to avoid confusion with all the other dates that I mentioned before, the requested delivery date is good to use it. It's a wish list, but the one that I need to pay attention that has priority over everything is the promised delivery date. From this, I'm going to have a backward calculation to tell the warehouse when they need to start working, okay? For any delivery, by the way. So the idea, in the ideal world, you're going to have all the lines in one single shipment, okay? But if that's not the case, you would need, if you have a very large sales order, you will need to work on the actual line level, and line by line continue to calculating your capable to promise function, because by every line that you have, you need to continue reviewing like we did with this single line with the actual item availability. If that's not the case, run the capable to promise function. Or after all, well, you need to give to promise to your customer where you're going to be delivering something, and everything will be calculated backwards. So to wrap up, we need to set it up, to set the functionality. You could do so by location, by vendor, and by customer. And if you really require to be really precise, you would need to do so on the item level, okay? All of them with the actual diagram that I showed you, well, everything will be calculated based on that. But last but not least, you could reserve, don't forget it, if you have the necessity to really provide something urgently, apart from, it's funny, but when you work with reservations, it's like having a fast forward process above the standard one that you use normally, because you're going to be reserving something, meaning that your purchasers, no matter what, and also replenishing, like I showed you before, will be actually working in an urgently manner with the reservation to provide something immediately from the purchase to the sales order. Even without, it's not drop shipping specifically, right? You're making a reservation, but it will be attended faster because, well, your purchaser will be taking notice of something that was reserved immediately. They will be putting maybe in the warehouse. Also, I recommend always to have a reservation area. That's in another topic where we can specify a specific procedures for the reservation for the warehouse clerk or warehouse manager. If you want to run this function, at last but not least, just to conclude, the warehouse should be able to have one specific area where all the reservations should be handled apart, taken out from the actual stocking area and put, well, it could be in the same stock area, but separated from the actual bulk to be handled faster, okay? So that will be it. Thank you very much for your time. And if you don't have doubts, well, we are just finishing now the webinar for today. Hopefully this was useful to give you some insights on the actual information for the capable to promise functions and available to promise functions in Business Central. Well, if there is nothing else to say, thank you very much for coming today. See you next week. As usual, like every Thursday, we're going to have some functionality that you can have with some explanations. Thank you very much and have a great day, and see you next week.